Chokchi is back. He's back for a Terran versus Terran against Dream. I think this is a really important game, specifically because if Chokchi falls here, I'm not so sure there's anybody left on that roster who could even take Dream out.
I agree with you here. Dream is a very strong player. He showed us his multitasking in the last game. I love this guy, by the way, with his arm to the left.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but it's GSTL. He's like, look, GSTL. I'm like, I know. I figured that one out, but
he was definitely happy to see his hand on camera. Here we have the HoSeo bench, and as pointed out already, we have Chokchi up next against Dream. A Terran versus Terran. Love to see him back in the booth with his Asterix and Obelix nose. And yeah, the thing is, if he does not win against Dream, then it's going to be a very difficult mission for HoSeo to take down the strong Terran player for Team MVP, because Dream has crazy multitasking. Mad Bull was not able to do anything against it. And now it's time for Chokchi to shine. Whirlwind is the map.
Whirlwind is the map, a big map. So he wants to try to play most likely a longer game against Dream. And Chokchi is a great player to choose here. Terran versus Terran, a matchup he's really good at. We can see now what he has planned in Heart of the Storm, how well he's been training in the background. Whereas, like you said, Dream, he's got great multitasking, but this is not his game yet. He hasn't had as much time to learn it.
Yeah, but he's a very strong opponent. But Chokchi is a former champion. Who's going to win in this Terran versus Terran match? We have Whirlwind coming up now here at the GSTL Pre-Season tournament. Color. Starting to the top right, a Terran player that we haven't seen in a long time. It's good to have him back. Let's welcome
HoSeo Chokchi.
Ah, new guy. Already screwing up the intros.
Yeah, Chokchi is way too important for an intro like that.
Exactly.
Changing his air conditioner temperature there for a second. Making sure he's set up correctly. His opponent, the bottom left in the blue, on a roll so far. He is
MVP Dream.
Cross position to Chokchi.
Yep, it's a big map, and this could be a longer one. We've already seen one Terran versus Terran in the GSTL Pre-Season right now, and it was pretty crazy. It was Bio versus Mech, but with Speed Medivacs and with Hellbats, so very different game.
And this is also going to be a very different opening from those two players. Whereas Chokchi is starting with the command center first here, we have Dream with Gas and the barracks.
Yeah, he could do anything here. He could potentially even send a Reaper for scouting. Could be quite useful for him, and then go into a factory.
As you said earlier, it's a very, very big map, so scouting information will be a little bit later than usual. And Chokchi is the one who will have to defend here. With openings like this, it lends itself to a game where the Terran player that goes for the early tech has to do damage. Because the advantage that he has is his tech, his ability to go faster into Medivacs, into Hellions, and his opponent will have the better economy. So if Dream misses the opportunity to take down SCVs, to take down Harvesters, and to capitalize on his advantage, then suddenly Chokchi will have the better economy, a very good tech, and overwhelm him later on in the game.
Yeah. And it is going to be that Reaper. The Reaper is a great choice on a map like this if you're going to tech, because yeah, you start out with a little bit later of a factory when you spend that 50 gas on the Reaper. But what you can do also is do just a Reaper expand like we've seen in Wings of Liberty, and that's what it starts to think Dream is going to do here. He's going to drop his command center. But the Reaper is faster, it's going to get across the map, and even if you take some hits on it, you can heal it, jump in again. He's even going to make a second Reaper, in fact. And this could be scary with the command center first, because if you start to lose too many hit points in your Marines and the Reapers come out and then get their health back and then come in and finish you off, you might start to lose SCVs.
Yep. That's definitely true. And now we have Dream also with an SCV scout. This is really important because we could have seen Dream just relying completely on the Reaper. Only scouting with the Reaper, not using the SCV. But he sent the SCV out, he knows now exactly where Chokchi is, and the Reapers give him a chance to go for aggression now. And he can start taking down Marines. And bunker too, yeah.
You know, imagine...
Look at how well he... Did you see that?
Yeah, this is sick. Now, I mean, imagine what would have happened if he had gone for a different scout pattern and had seen the base earlier, how fast that bunker could be up right now.
How cool was that? Hiding the Reaper, making sure that he can get out to the high ground, that there were no Marines in position. Well, now he's trapped in the corner.
He may yet escape. Taking a very interesting path here.
And the second Reaper is on its way, and now with the scouting information that Dream has, he immediately goes into a second command center.
Wow, he got away. Not a very good split on the Jagchi Marines. He could have perhaps chased it down. Now he's starting to recover hit points.
Nice multitasking here. The Reaper in the main base is still alive.
Yep, he does lose the Reaper at the natural, though, as was shown on screen. And this is not about doing damage. It's actually about getting some information here.
Well, he did some damage regardless, especially he forced a lot of mining time off, and he has all the scouting information that he needs. I really like this opening here. He lost the SCV that he had to build the bunker, but he's now in a position where he could get the information that he needed, which means that he made the right choice with going into a third base. Now he will be able to catch up in the economy, so that was great play by Dream.
And he's running circles quite literally around these Marines now to try to get back in and get additional information, try to force more lost mining time. And this is all with just 2 Reapers, and it could have been better. He's going to get that SCV for sure if he targets it. He gets one, and the second one, low on hit points, he could target as well. Mule times out away from the mineral line.
Look at those Marines, they're just completely out of their depth. But those 2 guys out on the high ground, they saved the day.
That was smart to keep those on the high ground.
Yeah.
We now have a Widow Mine follow-up here. This is likely just going to be to trap the Marines in the middle of the map. And that could do a ton of damage, in fact.
Oh yeah, we've seen this yesterday.
Yeah. It's really scary to run into those. And then once you do, it's a terrible feeling because you're like, well, now do I use a scan?
That's a lot of Marines. 12 Marines against 2. Yeah. Widow Mine is...
He's been spotted by the SCV, and uh-oh, the SCV, if it triggers it... Oh,
that was very close, yeah. But for now, the Marines know where the Widow Mine is, and he's not continuing over the middle of the map.
Yeah, it would be easy for him to use the SCV to tank the Widow Mine shot now and then finish off with a scan. But he's just going to hold the Watchtower. And so overall, Jagchi is ahead in production. The Harvester count is fairly even at 32 to 31, slightly in Dream's favor.
It's just the economy that we now have for Dream, with the 3rd command center, with the Orbital, triple Mule, triple SCV production, all those things that he can use.
Yep. And right now, he's just going to sit back with this for a little while and build up that tech while he gets his production facilities, getting stim, +1. Well, on the other hand, Jagchi has double upgrades on the way.
Yep. With the double engineering bay that he has, he can go into faster upgrades that might play a role later. But Dream knows, of course, of his slight disadvantage here and goes straight into the second engineering base that he can start his second wave of upgrades.
Yeah, this is really going to be a scary timing that we might see with 1-1 upgrades finishing ahead of the player who's also behind in Marine count because he wasn't able to get his production up as quickly. If he realizes the advantage he has with a larger army with better upgrades, he'll definitely use that.
Jagchi now has also the triple SCV production with the third orbital being completed, and he can fly it over to the 3rd base if he wants. Both of them playing it a little bit passive here. And I feel this is also what you kind of have to do, especially Jagchi, since he saw that we have Widow Mines for Dream. He doesn't know exactly how many, and it's always a little bit weird when you need to move out.
Yeah, you always have to be very careful when there are Widow Mines on the map.
You just need protection. You need to make sure that you either have enough scans saved up or that you have Ravens.
Yep. And you never know how many Widow Mines are going to be out there. If you see one, you know that there is at least one.
Yeah.
There could be more. So it's always very concerning. Even a drop like this could be hit by a Widow Mine, and then you can't use the drop anymore. It's not going to die in one hit, but it's not going to be successful.
It's one of the reasons why we quite often see a Viking paired with a Widow Mine, because a drop comes in, the Widow Mine gets off a shot, and the Viking with the next shot is taking down the Medivac. So this is usually the composition that you see quite often against one-base Terran players in the early game. And the drop is going to be the story of this mid-game. So far, Jagchi hasn't really seen it, but here it comes.
Yep, here comes the drop. He has plenty in the main to defend against this, so this should be a fairly easy pick-off by Jagchi as long as he reacts here. He runs away for some reason. There he goes, now turning around, but some damage done here. Nice pickups there. Only losing 3 Marines, and now we'll go for the 3rd, but again, Jagchi is ready.
Dream is really loving those Medivacs, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
No, he's sitting in his booth, he's making all this sounds.
I'm sure he is. I can see it, I can imagine it. Medivac's chasing each other now, this is going to get a little bit weird.
Yeah, this is really awkward.
But obviously the better situation for Jagchi here. Picks off the Medivac.
Chakchi already had the better upgrades here. He had 1-1, he had the combat shields, so the units of Dream were a lot weaker than Chakchi.
He also had less units overall.
Yeah.
And some of them were damaged, so that was just a pretty one-sided battle we saw.
Yeah.
Well, now, you know, MVP Dream has the lead in supply, but his opponent's been mining at that third base for a little bit longer, and he will have the potential to catch up. This is a pretty close game that we're in right now.
Yeah, it's actually equalizing quite a bit here. And now we have the armor upgrade, the second one. Once again, this double engineering bay working so well for Chakchi. Dream already built a second engineering bay, but currently he's not using it.
Yeah, he really needs to realize that he has not started his armor. Maybe he just spammed EA or AE, for example, and one of them didn't start. And now he's suddenly thinking his upgrade is going, but it's not, and that's going to be a huge problem.
Was well done here. Nice drop defense by Dream. Saw the medivac coming in. Pre-stimmed his Marines so that they could do the most damage to the medivac.
Yeah, this is now a situation where Dream has his third base, he's defending it, he's turtling up a little bit, and as a response we may see Chakchi take another expansion. Probably we'll have to defend this drop first for sure.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, rather than the drop, he was probably going to make his command center in the main rather than making it at the base itself.
Oh wow, the medivac actually survived with the afterburners. That was a close one.
6 hit points left. He has to sacrifice all of his Marines though.
And Dream is already in a position where he tries to just use those units somehow. But the medivac, at least, that was the one thing that he could save here, and now he's retreating with it. But we have still Chakchi being... Chakchi is the one player who's trying to do something here. Dream is now just defending, trying to get his fourth base up at the left side of the map, whereas Chakchi is trying to find an opening where he can engage.
This is not what I expected. I expected Dream to be the player to take his fourth a little bit later, since he's the one who's mostly on the defensive, and now he's moving out while doing it. And this is very scary, as he is very behind in upgrades right now. 3-3 will be started very soon. In fact, he's already started the attack upgrade.
This is definitely becoming a big problem for him. Here comes again the army for Chakchi. Notable here is that he doesn't have too many medivacs at this point with his army.
Yeah, they're not with his army for some reason.
He has 3, here comes the rest. Now he has 5 with the army. That gives him a little bit more healing potential that he formerly had. There we go, a scout at the 4th base, but the Widow Mine is all that Dream needed to defend it.
Yeah, takes out the Marine brutally there, and we'll be able to defend this drop. We have a lot of drop versus drop going on here, it starts to seem like. Good scans by both players, very positionally scoping out. Oh, he didn't see this.
Yeah, it was not as a drop defense. He wants to set up his own drop to be aggressive, and now the 4th base is being attacked, and he might lose it.
Yeah, he targets the command center instead of the SCB, so the command center actually finishes.
Yeah.
A little bit of a mistake there.
The Widow Mine is getting active, takes down a Marine. Doesn't really matter in this situation, but here comes this double drop. The double drop is on its way. He just saw it, but here comes a big fight in the middle of the map. Here comes the stim for Chakchi, trying to force Dream back. Dream sieging up a tank or two, but now the command center is completely exposed.
He has to cancel the planetary. The drops in the main are spotted. One goes down, the second one falls as well. This is looking better and better for Chakchi, who again still has a massive upgrade lead.
That was really well done by Chakchi. Yeah, that drop shutting it down like this, that was ingenious.
And his 4th base is ready. You know, I talked about it before. He was going to make it in base, and that's exactly what he did. Now he's floating it over. He has an aggressive map control right now, and with this, he can take this base. This is something that Dream a little bit messed up on, I feel, trying to take a base while his opponent had the better map control.
One of the things that you can do when you're dropping to your opponent's base is that you just afterburn over your opponent's defensive units. But let's talk about this a little bit later, as in the middle of the map, once again, it's getting quite hectic. Dream is trying to break out, and he's able to chase Chakchi away.
Yeah, it was a really nice breakout. He evens up the supply for a little bit here.
Coming back to that point, we saw the Marines being stimmed for Chakchi at the top, trying to shut down those drops. But if you actually just afterburn over the units, it's sometimes a lot better than just trying to drop your cargo as fast as possible. Yeah. Because the medivacs are now so fast. 1 turret, 2 turrets, just as an example, they don't make any difference anymore. You can afterburn over them and then suddenly drop in the back of the base.
You're absolutely right. And going back to that point on a different note about the Marines in the main base, those Marines being in the main base is one reason why I feel Chakchi was not able to keep up his contain, because he had so many units at home defensively that the army of Dream altogether on the map was just a little bit stronger than he anticipated, and he was able to break free there. The upgrades are evening up now because he did not forget +3 armor this time. Still a little bit behind as it is, though. Great bunker placement there. I really like that.
In general, the defense of Jagji is great. Yes, the Marines were missing when there was the fight in the middle of the map, but he's always where he has to be. He has units in the main base when there's a double drop. He has his bunker at the front. He intercepts another medevac. He's doing a great job here.
Now this watchtower makes it very difficult for Dream to engage. He tries to get a drop. He sees that siege tank and he says, well, I'm not going to try to make this one work. But the watchtower makes it so easy for Jagji. He does not have to scan like his opponent does. He already has the vision with the watchtower.
Yeah, he certainly has the vision here and he is using it. Upgrades for both players still being researched. They're maxed out, so all the money that they have goes into the upgrades now. 4 bases for both of them. Harvest account is very, very similar. And even at the resources lost, there's not too much of a difference. So far, Jagji has been playing the better game, but it doesn't really give him a significant advantage.
Yeah. But, you know, I feel like something's got to give here for Jagji. He's spreading himself a little bit too thin. Double medevac run in here to drop on top of the siege tanks. One was a fake, the other one is real, but there's a lot of anti-air here that was not very effective by Dream.
And another medevac is speeding across the map now, trying to find a position where he can drop and can attack again, where he can pressure Jagji and make sure that the Terran player for HoSeo doesn't pay attention to the middle of the map.
The Widow Mine hits the medevac and also the units underneath, making this a pretty easy defense. Fortunately, though, not quite enough until these Marines get over there. You know, Jagji is spread so thin, but Dream has this core army mostly together right now, and I feel like he could use that. But Dream is not using it because he's so under pressure. He wants to keep his all-army all together in the middle of the map, which is much better spread out right now. But he can't move out until he deals with Jagji's pressure, which is happening all over the map constantly here.
You also don't want to move into a sieged-up position of your opponent's siege tanks.
Yeah.
If you go in there, then he's likely to lose his entire army. When Jagji, as you said, he's keeping the pressure up. But now this is ending a little bit, and Dream is the one who tries to go in there, and he's attacking the production buildings already of Jagji.
Yeah, I just feel Dream, even though his drops are mostly unsuccessful at this point in time, just has the better positioning here and the better movements. He's even out-positioning his opponent while he has the watchtower. That's pretty rare. He has this sensor turret, so that gives him vision of where his opponent's tanks are all the time. The medevac count is twice as big for him as well.
I actually like Jagji's position here, even a little bit more, to be honest with you. At least I like his attempts to put pressure onto Dream. He does this really well, whereas every single time the MVP Terran player tries to drop, it's being shut down immediately. But here we go. Dream going for 4 additional command centers, by the way. He really wants to have those orbital outs.
Yeah. He made a bit of a mistake with his move out there as well, and Josh just having that better position on the watchtower allows him to capitalize on it. But now he finds himself a little bit split up. He's thinking about going in here. He says, I have a ton of medevacs. I have twice as many as you do, and your tanks were exposed there for a second. He thought about going in from a different angle. He just couldn't quite commit to it. And this game is very just positional. Neither player can really take a big fight right now.
Yeah, and Jagji is now also going into additional command centers. Both of them want to trade in the later game SCVs for mules, but this drop is finally successful for Dream. He found his opening and he's using it.
Look at that, using the medevac speed boost for vision even at this point in time. Just running it in, checking what's there, and then pulling it back.
6 command centers are being built by Jagji. Someone wants to get rid of his bank.
Yeah, and I think it's a smart idea. He's going to get rid of his bank and then also be able to get better army supply by getting rid of his SCVs.
Look at the minimap, it's like they're playing Lord of the Rings.
Well, let's
circles everywhere.
Let's talk about the unit composition here. 17 siege tanks for Jagji versus 9 siege tanks for Dream, but he has way more Marines and way more medevacs, so he could, if he wanted to, go for a big attack that runs around this entire army and goes to kill a commander. Problem is, if he does that, his opponent is going to attack him immediately because he has sensor towers everywhere knowing his every move.
Really nice drop here by Dream, taking down a lot of SCVs.
Yeah, he will be cleaned up, but it was still one of his more successful drops. Now the tanks are exposed. He uses that Marine count, runs in here. This is what I've been waiting to see him do. And that was a great trade for him. Now he can just hold this watchtower. If he can move his tanks a little bit further forward.
He's trying to, and he moves them forward. And now suddenly the center of the map is under pressure. Only 1 Marine is still there, but that's enough to give Jagji the vision that he needs. And he has the surplus in tanks.
Yeah, he does. You know, if the tanks are all together and ready with some Marine support, then the army of Dream will never be able to beat his. But if he's unsieged, or if the tanks are alone, they're too spread out, then the Marines are going to dart in and finish them off. This is such a cool game. Neither player can really get a massive advantage because they're both so good at positioning. I haven't watched a TVT like this in a while.
Dream is getting more and more sensor turrets, sensor towers. He wants to make sure that he knows exactly what's happening here and that every drop is immediately being spotted on the minimap.
Yep, I mean, there's sensor towers all over the map for Dream.
Yeah.
There's no drop that he's going to miss.
He's getting so many. And it's a good choice. It's a really, really good choice for him here.
Yeah, it's a great way to spend your resources when you're not losing a lot. 4 tanks at a time being made by Jockchi still. He's just dominating the siege tank count in this game.
These drops are really doing a number on the hit points of Jockchi's siege tanks. He's doing this so well. Every time a Medivac just speed boosts in, drops a few Marines, and then with a friendly fire, the tanks are taking a lot of hits.
This is pretty crazy. He's trying to find that angle again because he knows he has the better Marine count. But this time it's not quite so different when you look at Marine count and tank counts. 55 and 14 Marines and tanks for Dream versus 42 and 17 for Jockchi. Jockchi not quite always able to hold the watchtower, but it's still mostly under his control right now. Every time his opponent scans, he clears it, but then he sends another Marine in.
This is a battle of vision.
Yes.
We have a huge battle of vision, which is why we see so many scans being dropped in the middle of the map. The siege tanks, of course, can shoot a lot farther than they can actually see. We don't really see that Viking battle that we were expecting just yet.
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention. We don't see a lot of Vikings just yet, which is why usually one of these type of split map situations gets turned one way or the other. It's by the Viking count.
Exactly.
Viking count is 4-2 in Jockchi's favor, but neither player really utilizing that advantage. Now we see Dream moving his Vikings in.
Yeah, a little bit in the middle, and if you dominate the air, then you cannot only take down your opponent's Medivacs, but you can also just grant the vision that your siege tanks need to be successful, forcing your opponent to drop the additional scans, which gives you an advantage. And here we go, the Vikings are gone, and suddenly he starts dropping again. Dream sacrificing a few Marines to soften up the siege tank line of Jockchi, who does not repair. He could pull a few SCVs or drop a mule here to repair his tanks, but he doesn't do it.
Yeah, the SCV count still remains relatively even at 64 to 57, so neither player tossing too many of them away just yet.
Which they could. With the amount of command centers that we have, they definitely could, but they want to use the energy for scans instead of too many mules.
Dream is building a better bank right now. He's been trading more cost efficiently throughout the game. Well, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but he's got the better economy for longer while trading against his opponent. And now, this was a decent trade to pick off those siege tanks, but he does lose a lot of his Marine power with this.
A lot of those tanks are gone, and one of the things that happens in this game is that Dream is starting to be a little bit more cost efficient than Jockchi. In total, Jockchi is still a little bit in an advantage, but he needs to be careful here, and moving into those siege tanks didn't do him all too much good. He took down 2 of the tanks, but he lost a lot of Marines in the process.
Yeah. You know what's funny is oftentimes on this map we have 1 or 2 Marines denying a command center from landing, but in the middle of the map every other unit just needs to be there. There's no real drop defense that can be set up anymore, so this makes drops a good idea. But with all the sensor towers around the map, you just can't get away with it.
Yeah. Jockchi is now the one who really goes for the air domination. We have 4 or 5 Vikings for him, and this is more than enough to pressure Dream. So he really has the vision, and Dream is the one who has to drop the additional scans.
Yeah.
In upgrades, they are, by the way, identical, as you can see.
Yeah, the only difference is going to be that building plating that is being researched right now for Jockchi. It's going to make his planetaries specifically much more durable, which is actually quite important in a map where your opponent's been going more Marine heavy than you.
Look at all these scans that are being dropped now. This is mostly Dream scanning because he does not have that vision. He doesn't have the air dominance. This gives him a little bit of a stronger ground army, but it's very annoying for him. That's 10 supply that we currently see for Jockchi in Vikings, and he's trying to just run past into this base at the bottom, but is now with the planetary. It's safe enough.
He gets the sensor tower though, and he's now got a sieged up position where he can fall back to. This gives Jockchi an opportunity in the middle of the map. No, with this army over here on the right side, he could try to break through the center and for once reclaim that watchtower.
And Jockchi is a lot weaker on Marines now, which gives him a surplus in siege tanks. And again, these drops. This is something that Dream has been doing the entire course of the game. As soon as we had this position in the middle, he's trying to soften up the hit points on the siege tanks of Jockchi with Medivac speed boosts into the siege tank line and then the drops on top of them.
This game looks like a chessboard at this moment in time, you know, it really does. It's like we've got the bishop going back and forth, which is that army trying to pick off the command center, but every time he's blocked, then he has to return, and then slowly the army in the middle of the map is trying to go to the top to get a surround on the siege tanks where he can maybe drop some Marines like we've been seeing him do, clear up that line, but now he's going for the double drop.
That's exactly why I like what Dream is doing with what I said with the drops of the Marines. He's just sacrificing a few pawns, if you so will, and tries to make sure that the siege tanks are not as potent as they would be otherwise. So if he decides to move in later on with a stim, he can take them out a lot faster. The double drop, as you already said, will open up a new line of aggression for Dream though, and he takes out a Viking, tries to get into a good position here. This is a very, very strategic game now by both players.
This is an opportunity for Dream, and he seems to be squandering it. He doesn't know what to do. He had a huge opportunity where he knew his opponent's army. Part of it was way out of position, but there's way too many siege tanks. Even though his army is out of position, he has 7 more siege tanks. Jockey, that is, over Dream, so he can't break through. And you see he's hesitating. He runs in, loses a lot of hit points by stimming multiple times, loses his command center. And now the bank in minerals is going to Jockey quite heavily.
Let's not forget that Jockey is also up a base.
Yes, and that's where he's going to start to get the gas bank advantage as well.
And now, of course, with the economy that he has, he's going into those additional starports. He already has the air domination, and we will most likely see him go for battle cruisers in the late game.
Yeah, some Ravens as well, most likely.
So far, we didn't see the fusion core just yet.
This is an opportunity. Those tanks are just sitting there. He decides not to go for it.
Yeah, sitting pretty, but not doing too much.
He could have sniped those tanks pretty easily, but he's much more interested in the middle of the map right now.
Siege tanks sieging up, at least trying to be a little bit harder to take out.
He's got 2 sensor towers right on top of each other. That's how important it is for him to know exactly what his opponent's vision looks like.
Scans everywhere, it's crazy, both of them. Using so much energy on those extra orbitals to scan and to get the knowledge about the position. This is what it's all about. You want to know what's going on, you need information.
Yeah. This game, I feel, for Dream is getting out of his control. He had the better Marine count, the more mobile army versus the more fortified siege tank army of his opponent, but he tried to play the positional siege tank game against somebody who has not only the watchtower and that massive amount of vision, but also the better siege tank count. And so now his Marine count just feels useless. He's not doing big run-bys to try to kill bases like he should be. He could run up to the north and try to kill some of those command stairs, but instead, his Marines are just kind of, I mean, what else is he going to do with them? He's killing rocks. They're just going to make his Marines able to move across ramps a little bit faster, but all during this time his opponent has a better economy, is starting to build a nice bank, and is making 4 command centers right now.
4 additional command centers, a lot of orbitals that we will see, where you then can start to use more scans. You can go also into additional mules, you can set up another planetary fortress, trying to aggressively expand across the map and get the better economy. But here comes the battle, and this time it is Dream who moves in. The siege tank lines are sieging up, and immediately both bio armies are retreating.
Yeah, Dream really needs to find the right angle here. This is all about a Marine angle for him, where there are not enough siege tanks to defend.
The minimap just shows this huge, straight through the middle. We have both units lined up. This is like a border.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You can really see where the siege tank line is. Both of them know exactly about the range of a siege tank, and they have a split map here.
Yeah. And Jockey again has the better siege tank count at now 32 to 21. And with the Marine count of 51 to 34, it doesn't matter if he doesn't use it. And he's trying to find an angle here, but Jockey saw him, he repositioned his tanks, and he has 7 tanks to spare he can put up here to block the Marines.
And there's the fusion core. With the starports added, Jockey is now building the fusion core so that he can transition into battle cruisers. He already started the upgrades that he needs.
Yeah. This is just getting worse and worse for Dream. He's not in a position where he can switch his tech very easily. He's not going to be able to make the starports. This is something I was wondering why he had not done earlier. A massive drop can be effective, and even if he loses most of his Marines here, he can remake them so quickly with all of the mineral bank he has. He doesn't have a lot of bank and gas.
He was scouted.
Yeah.
This was spotted. There was a scan by Jockey. He knows that this is coming.
And how does he respond, though? Because this is not your everyday drop. This is a massive drop. It's not going to be enough to just send a few units home. He's going to go for this command center to the right side. This is going to force the siege line in the middle to be broken a little bit. He's moving some of them down now.
He's using the mobility of the speed medivacs to make sure that the slow army of Dream is not in position in time.
He cancels the... He's canceling it. He's too scared. He doesn't want to go in there.
There's one siege tank in the planetary. It's always the question if it's really worth it. If Jockey suddenly flanks you, gets the tanks in position, and you might lose your army, then the momentum goes to the NS HoSeo player. If he uses it, There's a lot of ifs and when, but still,
Exactly,
this is very, very dangerous, and it's a very tough decision to make.
If you have this many units in your medevacs, that means your center is weak. But if you then force your opponent to move part of his center to defend your drops, then his center becomes weak. And it's all about controlling the middle of the map, controlling that watchtower, all these sensor towers, all these scans. There are so many more scans available right now for Josh because he is the one who's made more orbitals. In fact, if you look at the Structures tab, which is a new feature, I'm looking at it right now. In total, I want to find out how many orbitals we have. 8 orbitals for Jockji.
Against 7. 8 against 7, but we have additional command centers.
Yeah, he hasn't made a lot of them into orbitals yet. He has 4 extra ones.
4 extra ones, but Dream is now building 3 additional command centers too, and this kind of negates the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Here come the first few Ravens though. With the Ravens he can start to build up energy, he can go into the point defense drones if there's an air battle, and this is going to get really interesting as soon as he starts his battlecruiser production.
It's just like Dream doesn't see this coming either. He's not preparing it on his own, and if you are facing a switch like this without preparation, you're going to lose control of the middle of the map in seconds. 1 or 2 battlecruisers alone will start to wear you down. He doesn't even have very many turrets, which is something that Jockji himself has. Turrets all over the place. He's now starting to add them. I feel he's now realized what's going on, but he needs to add starports.
Yeah, there are a lot of scans going down. I'm sure that he dropped at least 1 in his opponent's base.
This is smart.
Nice position here with the siege tanks, yes.
I like that. That means no mining at this base, but there's so many other bases around the map you can mine from. Drop over here at the top left is going to deny his opponent's drop, so he can land his command center. The Raven count is going up to 4 here. The siege tank count is actually
go.
Here comes that big drop.
Going straight into that base at the top left, trying to chase down that siege. That one medevac, no, but at least he's going to get the command center. A small victory for him here, but still a victory.
Yeah, victory nonetheless.
Yeah, if Jockji is able to get another planetary to the top left, then suddenly he's again ahead 1 base.
And there goes that base, but the planetary over here, Jockji is starting to kill a lot of the SCVs at it. The tank will clean this up.
And you know, right now, we have Dream trying to establish a base at the top left. He already has the planetary on its way, or at least the command center. He can go for planetary. And talking about planetaries, 1 is down for Jockji. Dream is continuing his aggression at the top left.
Yeah, Jockji is losing bases, but he still has control over the map. He's just not able to mine as much as he once was. Now he's starting to use his own speed and losing medevacs. He's going to control the bottom left. So as Dream takes the top right, Jockji counters by taking the bottom right. And this is a planetary that's not quite ready yet. He could target it down. I think he's got too much DPS here.
He definitely has. The planetary is going to be completed, but it's not going to take out these Marines. It will be destroyed, and this is the case now as we speak. Yeah. With those Ravens that he has, he can go for the Seeker missiles here. He has 4 in total. Can use them into the siege tank lines.
Great drops here by Dream, taking out a lot of these siege tanks on the ground. They're instantly replaced. 5 siege tanks in production by Jockji. Instantly remaxed with 5 siege tanks and 21 Marines in production at one time.
Dream is currently the player that has the better economy, or at least the better bank. But all those starports have not really been used yet. We have Ravens, but that's it. No battlecruisers just yet, and only a commitment to 4 Ravens, not more than that.
The economy for Dream is slightly better now as well, so he's going to continue to build that better bank. But is his army composition better than his opponents? Right now, I feel the answer to that question is no, so that's going to change things quite significantly as well. This game, I could see this game going on for a lot longer because neither player can really capitalize on their advantages just yet.
That's definitely true. What you also see is that they are a lot lower in harvests now than they were roughly 15 minutes ago, which means that this is more shifting towards mules if they need the income.
Right.
It goes away from the worker supply into increased army supply.
And that's why killing every command center really counts at this time, because that's where the mining ends up landing at, where all those mills are going to be dropped. If you lose a command center, you can't mine all those mills, you can't use your actual orbitals. Now, we have the Behemoth reactor coming out, which means he is finally going to start making those battlecruisers pretty soon. He's been getting the upgrades.
And he just started the +2 attack upgrade. He canceled it, right?
I think it may have just finished. Let me check.
It just finished. Okay. Yeah, really finished. And in addition to that, we have 3 Ghost Academies. We are going to see nukes, and this is really smart. I was waiting for this. With nukes, they can do a lot here. You can get very positional, and you can force your opponent off his line. And with such a long siege line that we have, finding that spot where the nuke goes down is not going to be easy. That's going to be really difficult.
And this is a great trade for Dream because He tries to go in for this base, he thinks he can get it, and Dream catches him with his pants down. He had this plan from the beginning. He had a drop set up to counter this. He knew he had been spotted. He comes and trades extremely efficiently here. And look at the bank for Jagchi. He's trying to do a lot with his tech, so he's spending more resources overall than his opponent.
But if he can use this tech, then Dream is in trouble. Just think about nukes, 1 or 2 being dropped on those siege lines in the middle of the map. Dream on a map like this will need a long time to find those.
And now he lost that base regardless, and he didn't even cancel the planetary, so the planetary finished to kill 2 Marines. Not exactly worth it when you look at resources lost there.
You know, with three Ghost Academies, Jagchi is saving a lot of time here. He goes for double upgrades. He goes for Resurrector and Cloak and for the nuke, so he will immediately be ready to drop 1 nuke.
Will the nukes ever be able to fly, though, is the question. With all these sensor towers and turrets, he's going to know every move his opponent makes. I really like this turret ring. It's quite important to keep that base to the top left alive, which has been a really pivotal base in this game. The bank for Jagchi is almost gone, but that's why he's resecuring these bases, and his bank's about to reappear with these mules right now on the map. Yeah. He has 10 mules.
This is where you can really just capitalize on the fact that you have the air dominance, that you are the one who does not have to draw this many scans. Yes, you still need them, you need to know about the position, but you're not depending as much on them as your opponent.
It's very true, it's well said. And, you know, at this point, Dream is, well, we're seeing some secret missiles here. He takes out quite a few siege tanks in the middle of the map for basically free.
Yeah. Nice Seeker missile usage here, making sure that those tanks have a lot less hit points now. And the nuke is ready, don't forget about that. Yeah. Cloaking is not done, but will in a few seconds, and then we will most likely see the first nuclear launch.
Another secret missile goes off. He's starting to eliminate these tanks, which is going to make it a little bit easier to get in there and nuke if he can find the right angle.
Bam, tank after tank being destroyed. A drop to the right side. He sees the Ghost Academies, and he can take them down.
Yeah, he will be able to get these, I feel, very easily. There's not much that his opponent can do. He streams the Marines in, though. There are enough. He goes for the planetary instead, so he's not going to get a whole lot here at all.
The planetary is gone, and can he take down the medivacs? No, they're just way too fast.
And finally, Keldor Dream is getting that infrastructure for the starports. He's starting to realize what might be going on tech-wise, and he's trying to make up for it. Now starting with 2 Vikings at a time.
But Dream is still behind in this tech, and he is dealing with nukes now. Here comes the nuke. Here we go. Will Dream see it? He needs to find that out. He needs to scan. He needs to do something.
Wow.
He has no idea.
He doesn't know.
He's looking. This is what I said earlier. He's looking, but he doesn't find it, and now he knows it's too late.
Yep, loses a few units here. It's not the end of the world to lose these units, but it's very positionally allowing him to do this yet again and again and again. Without the siege tanks with full hit points ready and nearby, he can't actually stop the Ghost. He's going to lose control of the center now, and this is exactly what Jagchi capitalized on. Coming to the bottom right, picking off some of these exposed siege tanks.
So well done, dropping first, baiting the first shots with a few Marines, and then he runs in as the siege tanks on cooldown, takes down the tank line. Dream is in a little bit of trouble here. Jagchi is trying to build up the momentum with the nukes and with this aggression.
Yeah. And Dream looks like he doesn't quite know how to respond at this moment in time. The nukes draws attention to the middle, then a big attack goes to the right side, takes out some of his very important income right now.
And let's not forget about those Seeker missiles. They really had those tanks in a very awkward spot. And again, another nuke, very positional here in the middle of the map.
Yeah, this is a bit of a defensive one because he knows his opponent wanted to come in and attack him there while he was a little bit weak, but forces him back for just long enough for him to get his siege tanks back into position.
2 nuclear missiles are still available to him.
Yeah, and a third one is being remade.
Dream is losing a little bit of ground here. He still has a better bank than Jagchi, but he is definitely the one who is on the retreat now. Not full retreat for sure, but still he is backing off a little bit.
He's adding Marauders into his composition quite heavily right now so that he can break through the tanks a little bit easier, and that's something I really like because Marines alone are not really going to cut it as well. You have to have some Marauders. He goes for the break. This is what we've been waiting for this entire game. He sees an opening and he takes it, runs in. This is his opportunity to take control of this game. There's another nuke going on. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, or the left side of the map, it was taken out.
Dream is using pure force here. Another nuke is going down, homing onto those SCVs, and bam! Goodbye worker line. But in the middle of the map, Dream was quite successful. He's losing too much on the other hand, especially against all those Seeker missiles. Look at the supply suddenly heavily in favor of Jagchi.
Yeah, he just does not have the same amount of production that Jagchi has been able to make. Jagchi had a better just grid of production facilities. Double nuke here now. Nuke going to be on the mineral line. There's no SCVs left there. That Ghost killed all 10 of them earlier. The second nuke is again a defensive one. It also covers these turrets that he'll be able to clean up.
A radioactive rain is raining down on Dream. The MVP Terran player finds himself in a really awkward spot. The map is so big, the force is so drawn out that it's so difficult for Dream to find out where those nukes are. He lost a lot, and Jagchi is just going for it. He has the resources to pull this off. And Dream, we talked about him being the one who's now suddenly on the defensive. This is definitely still true. He just doesn't find a chance to get aggressive on his own and to get into good position.
Yeah, now he's sieged up here at the bottom right, stopping mining once again. Dream's bank is disappearing really, really fast. He's not even quite been able to remax just yet. Goes for a big drop so he can land on top of these siege tanks, but there are enough Marines here to make this a little bit tough. This is going to be a close engagement here. Drops right away.
And he's dropping and has once again to defend against 2 mules. There's just too much going on the map, and at this point, Dream is in trouble. He's just able to retreat here, but 3 tanks are down. He only saw 1 coming.
And now he gets another nuke off here. There's no way to run up the ramp. He's a little bit trapped. He's going to either have to deal with that ghost or unsiege and back up. He catches a few of the siege tanks, but there's way too much bio here. The nuke is taken out. He gets that ghost.
He gets the ghost. That was important. That was really difficult to see the spot for the nuclear missile. I love the new interface, by the way. Yeah. It's so awesome that we see those nukes on the minimap. It makes it so much easier to keep track of what's happening.
This is becoming just less and less cost efficient for Dream all the time, and his economy is in shambles. Jagchi has finally taken control of the game. It's now he's just moving in and finishing things off and tightening the grip.
Taking down missile turrets, establishing new bases, planetary fortresses. They're here at the top, another job, but the planetary alone is taking down a lot of the Marines.
Yeah.
And suddenly we don't have money for Dream anymore. He's not in this position where he can just rebuild the army.
Exactly, he can't afford to drop on a planetary like that that's not even mining and lose a ton of his army. That was almost like a third of his army that he lost trying to kill a planetary. And he can't afford to trade like this when he has no money in the bank.
Jagchi is the one pulling the strings at this point.
Yes.
Dream with the mule drops, but Jagchi is now on the move. The army supply with 150 against 82.
This is looking pretty dire for Dream. He had an interesting composition that I feel he wasn't able to fully utilize in the mid-game. And then the composition and the bank and the tech, the nukes, really did a number on him. Good EMP those medevacs, and he does. It's a great choice, eliminating all the energy on the medevacs, all but 1. Those tanks are going to be able to siege up here and put a little bit of pressure on eventually. But the bigger story, exactly as Legend is showing us here, is the units in the middle of the map.
The middle of the map, where Jagchi has now finally enough. He's going into his opponent's production. A lot of money now for Dream. Jagchi the one a little bit starved, but at this supply it does not really matter anymore. He's going into the middle, taking down, double job being taken out. And of course now the production is being camped.
Yeah, he's nuking here. There's not even anything really he's going to get. The production being camped. A lot of these Marines almost dead, but there's still too much firepower here for Dream to deal with. He can't handle this, and there's tanks at the back, so he could just siege up and easily handle.
One of the smartest nukes ever, but it was not a success. The medevac's a little bit too far to the left, but this was a very interesting idea by Jagchi. A very good attempt.
And now the tanks are defending the low hit point Marines as they camp the production facilities. He can take out this base. He's got so many Ravens for auto turrets. I think would probably be the best choice for him. He could try to secret missile his medevacs, but they'll escape.
He actually gets a few of them, or tries, but no, it's too late. With speed, it doesn't really matter.
But still, I mean, this is not going to be enough to turn the game around. Dodging secret missiles is nice, but it doesn't kill his opponent's army.
Yeah, Jagchi is establishing himself another mining base. So far, a lot of the mineral patches are gone, but he's getting a new one. And here comes this army for Dream, trying to rescue what's there to rescue, but there's not a lot. And the GG is, of course, inevitable.
GG indeed. That was one of our longer games, but it was certainly really exciting to watch how these two players controlled the middle of the map.
Welcome back, Jagchi. That's all that I have to say.
Looks good. Just making the better decisions overall.
Yeah.
You know, he had the composition that was less mobile. He was still able to continue to do drops and keep the pressure on his opponent while teching up to getting the nukes, the potential battle cruisers, which we never ended up seeing, but it was always there.
A great Terran versus Terran that we just witnessed. This was really, really interesting. Very positional, all about gathering information. Jagchi then with a change into nukes, and those nukes, they broke the backbone of Dream.
Dream just not able to keep up his bank once the trading started getting better and better. Even little things like secret missiles killing siege tanks eventually adds up once you start killing 10, 12 siege tanks with secret missiles. It's like, well, I'm in a situation where I'm not mining really anymore, and I'm losing siege tanks in the middle of the map, I'm losing my map presence.
The only problem that I had with the game was that I think at some point I will have an ear infection if I then have to listen to the scan sound a lot longer.
Yeah.
They should have a new option actually in the options where you can just disable the scan sound, nothing else. Only for the Terran versus Terrans. Every single time you're in a TVT, disable the scan sound. Make sure that your ears stay safe.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a lot of scanning going down, which, you know, scanning in Heart of the Swarm has that outline, so you know exactly where it is, but when you have so many people scanning, that can actually be a bit distracting with also the sensor towers going up as well.
I would have a scan count. I would like to know how many scans were dropped in this game.
How many would you guess? Like, in total between the two of them?
200 for each of them?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. Something like that.
Well,
Who's next?
You know. Sorry.
Who's next? Shine. Time for a Zerg against a Terran. An interesting choice.
A choice that I didn't expect, but that I highly appreciate.
Jagchi was, at a time, the Zerg killer as well in Wings of Liberty.
That's something that Lenok can... Lenok has a lot of stories about that.
Yeah, Lenok will never forget it.
Back then in the days, Lenok was the favorite in the finals against Jagchi, and everyone that you asked was like, well, Lenok is of course going to take it. Jagchi doesn't stand a chance.
One of the best finals I've ever watched.
And then suddenly, Jagchi, he turned on the God mode.
He really did. He played like no one expected, using some cool strategies, but also just great play overall. And Shine is not going to forget this match either, being chosen here to come out against Jagchi. He watched his multitasking in the late game in that Terran versus Terran. Gears are going to have to be shifted 180 degrees now, though, for Jagchi, because he's thinking about sensor towers, siege tank lines, drops, and 100 missile turrets on the map. And
he
all
still has the scan sound ringing in his ear.
Yeah, exactly. And all that Shine's thinking about is, well, I got to deal with Hellbats somehow.
Maybe Rebirth will find out what exactly he's going to do. Jagchi could be really aggressive here, or he just could go for a very solid game. Fellowship Vestige is going to be the map.
Yes, it is. Shine looks motivated and ready. Doesn't look nervous at all. He's got that smile on his face.
I'm happy that he found a new team and that he found a really strong team too.
Yeah. This is a team that I feel he really fits in with. It's no TSL. No team can ever replace TSL, but...
Yeah, not really. I'll definitely miss them. But well, MVP versus an HoSeo. This is the story of today's GSTL Pre-Season team match. We have a Terran versus Zerg coming up next. It is going to be Jagchi versus Shine on Fellowship Vestige. I hope you guys are ready back at home. Get your beer, get your popcorn, get your coke, name your poison. We are heading into the match. Get the GSTL color.